Well, welcome to the Hire Yourself podcast. This is Pete Gilpin. I'm here with my business partner, Nat Truitt. We're super excited for today's podcast. Good morning, Nat.
Hey, Pete, how are you doing?
Oh, I am awesome. I'm awesome. Spring is in the air.
I know the sun is shining, the blossoms are on the tree.
All right, so it's my, in the spring, I always get that fever, right? So each year I go and I start looking at things that I can add to my barbecuing, repertoire. And so, again, I'm looking at those smokers. Like, you've seen those green eggs before?
Oh, yeah, those look awesome.
Have you ever tried one before?
No.
So
are they a fryer or what do they do?
Well, it's a smoker, but I think the idea is you're containing it all with a ceramic thing. I mean, these things are these green eggs are like 400 pounds. Right?
Holy cow.
Once you get it somewhere, I don't think I could lift it to get it anywhere else from that standpoint, but it's pretty cool. So I've been looking at the green egg, was a version, and then there's some other ones where you can actually control them. They use wood pellets, and you can literally control it with your smartphone.
Wow.
So you can kind of manage the temperature right from your phone. I thought, holy cow, smoking now went high tech, right?
Yeah.
So that's my kind of smoking, right? I could just sit in the house and I can just adjust it where it automatically drops more pellets in to control the heat. That's good. So
yeah, don't tell your wife, because usually when I'm barbecuing, I want to be outside, kind of, away from everything else.
Well, yeah, that's true. No, I think she dreads anytime I go to these stores and start looking at this stuff. She knows I'm going to start spending money and add another toy to the thing. So
nice.
But speaking of a really good time as spring is here, I want to pose the question to you today. So the question is, I believe that now is one of the best times in history to invest in a franchise business. Let's debate that a little bit today. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the first thing that comes to mind, I literally was just at Orange Theory working out and, getting my hair cut at 18.8, so I'm like, as you're saying that, I'm going to franchises all the time. So I feel like it's tried and true and lots of proven concepts out there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we use the example in the book, right? How yourself of franchising touches every aspect of your life. And to your point, it's there. I mean, there are over 4,000 franchise establishments out there today.
Yeah.
They're all types of different franchise concepts, and they're touching every aspect of our life. And so it's very cool. And it's a big part of our economy, right? They contribute $500 billion to the GDP. Over 8 million people. So franchising is big business. And I think if somebody's ever thought about becoming an entrepreneur, they owe it to themselves to explore investing in a franchise right now, because the stars are aligned. And so let's go through some of the things, right? So first, everything I'm reading is the economy's really heating up. Are you seeing the same thing? I mean, it seems like we're starting to really come out of this COVID-19, and that's true for events. Like when the United States comes out of big events, we usually have that thriving economy.
Totally. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of pent-up demand. People, you try to get a painter, you're having to wait weeks and weeks, if not months, to get a painter, and just everything is going crazy. We went out to dinner the other night, and like every table was full at 5:30. It's like things are getting back to normal, which is great to see.
Yeah, well, you can feel it in the air, right? That spring, but it's that economic thing. Everything is just starting to roll. And then you get into this is that we still have low interest rates, right? And I was just watching an interview with the Fed chair, and they basically said they're gonna keep rates for long term low, right? So that's the driver, unless we have inflation that is consistently over 2%. But they said, they're not changing rates for a long time is what the message I got. So, which is great, because when you get into this, it just makes it easier to invest in a business, right? It's lower cost of capital to get in.
Totally.
So
it's a very friendly lending environment. And, when you think about, a lot of people have been refinancing their houses at lower rates and, getting small business loans, and, what a great time to invest, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 and start your own business and generate some additional income streams.
Yeah, I mean, you just take a look at interest rates on mortgages, right? I think it's under 3% in some cases. I
Yep.
mean, that's crazy. I mean, you remember when I was in high school, and boy, that was a long time ago. But you know, in the 80s, remember interest rates, mortgages were 18%.
Right. I can't even comprehend that, to be honest.
Can you imagine? So, I mean, we've got a whole generation that's never really had high interest rates when it comes to buying houses and stuff like that. So, all right. So we got low interest rates. Now, you start looking at the equity markets, like the Dow, I think, topped 34,000. The Nasdaq was at 14,000 yesterday. I mean, the markets just continue to climb.
Yeah. I think people have a lot of confidence in the economy. Certainly the markets are showing that they have confidence that things are getting back on track. And like we were saying earlier, a lot of pent up demand for products and services, right?
Yeah. So where does it end with the equity markets? I mean, you know, everybody says we're in a bubble, but it just keeps going up.
Right. Well, I know when I talk to my father-in-law, sometimes, he talks about like, oh, we never thought a house was going to be more than $200,000 or, same thing with the equities. I'm sure, the old timers are like, we never thought it would be more than the Dow would be over 1,000, right? So who knows?
Right. And I think I can't see anything other than a big event derailing it, right? I mean, there aren't any things that, the economy's going good, interest rates are low. I mean, it's just, yeah, I got to think it continues to go. It keeps running.
Yeah, I feel like we had our share of bad luck over the last year or two, so hopefully there's no more bad events. We're due for some good events.
Yeah, absolutely, we're due, right? From that point, when you start reading about the housing market, it is going crazy. I mean, I've got some friends that are looking for a house in Florida, and the time they get to that house, they've already had 30 offers. Half of them are cash. I mean, the housing market, the prices are going up incredibly fast.
Yeah. I know my sister's trying to move to Nashville, exact same story. There's cash buyers coming from other parts of the country paying, one scenario was 500,000 over list price, all cash. It's crazy.
500,000 over list price.
Yeah. Cause it's, to them, it's a cheap house, right?
Yeah,
Coming from California.
Yeah. But do you ever worry? I mean, and again, if you're competing and you're paying more than list and more than what the value should be, do you worry that you're buying on the top of a bubble, or is this the shortage of $4 million, 4 million homes? Excuse me.
Supply and demand.
Does this continue on?
I don't know. I mean, you see like cost of building supplies and all that's going up. The great news is like when somebody moves or relocates, they're going to have to, a lot of times do a lot, paint, carpet, landscaping, like all these other, things, all these trailing investments in the property, right?
Yeah.
Which is great because, a lot of the franchises we work with, they're right there in that sweet spot.
Yeah, our friends, they bought a house in Georgia, and believe it or not, it burnt down right after they bought it. And
can't make that up.
Yeah, and but they said to rebuild it because of building supplies are so much more expensive that it's going to be quite a deal to try to rebuild what they had. That's
a really good point. I've just as you were saying that, I'm like, I'm going to go check my homeowners and make sure I have the proper replacement, because a lot of times, there's kind of like you can increase your insurance based on that.
Yeah, well, from the standpoint of just the cost, but then also the time, right? If it takes you 2 years to rebuild it, I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
So, and you think a little bit about that pent up demand. So they're changing houses, they got money, they're feeling good from that standpoint, and they're doing things, right? I mean, you're sitting in your house during that pandemic and you're going, God, I sure would like to have sprinkler systems or that new deck or that pool. Mm-hmm. You're seeing the same thing, right? There's just a ton of pent up demand.
Yeah, there's everybody I know is doing stuff and just kind of complaining about it, not getting done fast enough.
Yeah, so we're trying to get a little landscaping done, and the landscaping company comes in and basically says, hey, listen, we'll come out and do an estimate, but we can't come out to do anything until September.
Oh my gosh.
So, I hear in parts of the country, like if you're trying to get a pool, it's 2 years, right? So it's pretty amazing. Even just simple things like flooring, right? That not only does it take a while to get them to come do an estimate, but then also getting the actual product is all delayed because there's so much.
Yeah, I think the supply chains got jacked up a little bit over the last year, but it's starting to straighten out again.
Right. So we got the economy's heating up, interest rates are low, equity markets are peaking, right? We've got home values that are going through the roof. We have pent-up demand. We see that. I mean, you go to Home Depot, it's just a ton of demand. And then I got to think like this $2 trillion economic package has got to be doing something to the economy. I mean, it's got to be driving. The government is just throwing money into the economy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know too much about that, but I do think that it's there's money flying around everywhere, so might as well get a piece of it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think again, this is the, if you ever thought about becoming an entrepreneur, this is the time to invest in a franchise.
Yeah.
And this is, so we got all these great factors that lined up from the economy. And then you go, okay, the corporate job market really changed last year, right? I mean, from the standpoint is that, first of all, you had millions of baby boomers pushed into retirement before they were ready. They left the job market. So that was significant for sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that I'm working with are, kind of in job transition right now and kind of, frustrated because they have a lot of gas in the tank and want to keep on, being productive and contributing to, society, be involved in the local community and all that. They don't want to be on the bench.
Well, and I think the idea is when you're a corporate executive, a lot of times you're not engaged in your community, right? You're traveling, you're doing all that kind of stuff. And so I think people got, when they were able to not have to travel anymore and they were able to work from their house, they got the feeling of a little bit more control of their life.
Yeah.
And I think as a business owner, when you invest in a franchise or invest in a business, you're in control. And I think people got a little feel for that. And that's fueling them as go forward. And clearly we saw during the pandemic, there's no corporate loyalty anymore, right? So businesses are going to do what they have to do to reduce their expenses. And so they lay people off. They furloughed them from that standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of my buddies, I just was at dinner with somebody and they were always at 80% travel, right? But they've been home for the last year and they're like, I don't think I'm going back to that. They really, kind of, you get used to being able to walk the dog every day or, go to the local coffee shop and
or see your kids.
See your kids. Novel idea.
Yeah, absolutely, right. But I think it is a big part is when you invest in a business, invest in a franchise, you can be part of that community. You can pick your schedule. You may still be working really hard, but you're in control from that standpoint. So I think that's a huge thing. And then as we talk about corporate positions, you saw a lot of corporations, they realized they didn't need as many levels of management during last year, right? So you saw a consolidation of executive positions. In many cases, they aligned them lower. So lower pay and younger individuals, for sure.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing more of that hoteling for corporate offices where they're shrinking their square footage. And, if you have to go to the office, you're going to just check out a desk for the day, because they're like trying to get rid of the overhead of the real estate if they don't need it.
Yeah, I got a guy that works for a company. They're a global company, and they literally, when the pandemic started, they subleased all their facilities throughout the whole world. Right.
Oh,
and they're never
wow.
going back. And I think that's a significant change from that standpoint. So, as we talk about the economic factors aligning, all the things we talked about, and the corporate world is different. There's just no more loyalty. And so the people I work with, they say, Pete, I just want to take control of my destiny. I want to create career and income security. I want to set up my future. I want to, have a flexible schedule. I want to live life on my terms. And so as we combine the economic factors that we talked about, the unhappiness associated with the corporate world, now is the time to invest in a franchise or invest in a business. And you can still take advantage of this great economy, all these things by one, if it's a service-based business, if you invest in a service-based business today, you could be open running your business this summer.
Totally. I remember when I bought my senior care franchise, I went to training, I think it was in June. And I was, had my first customer 2 months later, so 60 days later.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, so you can really take part of this pent-up demand if you get after it and invest in a franchise. And then when we talk about facility-based franchise concepts, certainly they take more time to get open, right? But I think a little bit about, with everything aligning right now, there are some great deals I'm hearing on commercial real estate where landlords are giving more TI money or rent abatement and stuff like that. So are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, I know a lot of guys I worked with in the past now are opening up their second and third locations like simultaneously because they're taking advantage of the favorable real estate market.
Yeah. So when we take a look at it, all the stars are aligned from the economy. It's a pretty tough corporate world out there. No loyalty. People want just to have the control that's so much important. And there's a great way where you can jump in and take advantage of this. So that's our job, is to help people explore franchises, right? To help them see if it's a path. So I always encourage people, if you've always thought about it, get in there and start learning. You got nothing to lose by learning about the different opportunities that are out there today.
Yeah, I feel like we all certainly have a little more time in our life, and franchise researching franchises is probably maybe an hour a day, 5 to 10 hours a week for 30 to 60 days. So it's a fun adventure to kind of learn about the concepts and see what is interesting, and kind of visualize yourself owning, operating one of these businesses, investing in a franchise. So.
Yeah. And as you talk about this idea of becoming an entrepreneur, the benefit we've always talked to people about is that, as with a franchise, it's just an easier path, right? That entrepreneur life. So you don't have to come up with a big idea. You get the full support of the franchisor. All you have to do is bring your leadership skills, your business acumen, and follow the system. And it certainly worked really hard. So there's some real advantages as you look at becoming an entrepreneur to leverage that franchise model.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to build your own team, be involved in the community, sponsor Little League, all those feel good things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So spring is in the air, the economy's set up. It's now is the time to take a look at it. But Nat, I got to get going, because I'm gonna go start looking at. I got to figure out what I'm gonna do with this smoker here. I gotta see what new toy I'm gonna buy. But anyways, it's been fun today. So again, I'm pretty excited about where we're at with the economy, point in time, and I just want to seize the opportunity like everybody else.
All right. Well, enjoy those smoked meats.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Hire Yourself podcast. For more resources, check out our website at hireyourself.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast to receive each episode. Please leave us a rating, and we'd love to hear your feedback or suggestions for topics.